Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome to week 11. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. And instead of walking you through the entire module, I'm just going to pop into a couple of different pages in the module and kind of remind you about some bigger things that are happening right now in terms of the class and SA2 and SA3 and where we're going and where we're headed and all of that kind of crazy stuff. So a couple of big reminders. Obviously, you have essay number 2 this week. It is due on Wednesday, but you have a grace period until Friday at 11:59 p.m. You don't need to tell me if you're using the grace period. There's no point deduction. There's nothing. It's a grace period. If you need it, if you want it, you don't ever have to tell me anything about it. It's just there. So your final due date is essentially Friday at 11:59 p.m. Remember that you are turning your essay in to 2 places. First, in the Google Doc assignment, and you can see that in the module. So we're looking at this week's module here. So first as a Google Doc, and make sure, please, that you give me editing access. And then as a turn it in assignment, which is the plagiarism checker. So you have to turn it in to both places before I will look at it and grade it. Okay. I do have some openings still for essay number 2 conferences today. There might be a few on Wednesday, but that's kind of it for essay 2. All right, essay 3. What I want to do first is I just want to show you what essay number 3, the module for essay number 3 looks like, because it's not going to change. This is going to be what the last few weeks of this course look like until we get to the very final week where we're talking about fallacies. But for essay number 3, I schedule or kind of organize the module a little bit differently. We'll have some writing instruction. I'll always post the assignment. But then you have a series of readings. Now, you choose which ones you want to read. You have to read at least one of them in order to complete the discussion board. My hope is that you will read, some of these are more exploratory in nature, so maybe you'll explore a couple of them. But each week you'll have between 5 and 7 readings available to you. And you can choose, again, which ones look interesting to you to read. You have to read at least one in order to complete the discussion board. And the discussion board will look the same all week long. All unit long. So each week you'll have a discussion where it's an open musings about a reading, where you basically kind of talk a little bit about what you read, how you think it might apply to your approach to the essay, which I'll talk about in a minute. You do have reminders to reply to people in the discussion board, but that's your first one, right? Your second one is the essay progress, and you're going to have these same discussion boards for the next 4 weeks where you're talking about essay number 3. Musings about the reading, and talk a little bit about where you're going right now with your essay. And that is more of just a way to kind of keep yourself accountable. You can ask questions of your peers, you can ask questions of me, but instead of having more formal discussion boards or hypothesis assignments or basic assignments, these are more kind of geared to kind of help you stay on track, right? And it's kind of more closely aligned with the type of work that you're going to be getting once you transfer to a 4-year, if that's where you're headed. But this is kind of a little bit closer to what those classes are going to be looking like. They've got a lot more freedom, less structure, but still I'm trying to kind of hold you a little bit more accountable. So just be aware, for the next few weeks, you will always have a series of readings. You get to choose which ones you want to read. You complete a discussion board where you basically muse on what you read, and then an essay progress where you kind of stay on track with the essay. With that said, let's take a look at the actual essay assignment. Now, again, you're like, Miller, I'm turning in essay 2 this week. Yes, I know. But like I've always said, I'm going to give you the essay assignment up front because I want you to have an idea of what you are reading for. Essay number 3 is about democracy. Now, before I go into essay number 3, let me say one other thing. If you're not really sure about your word count for essay number 2, what I would encourage you to do is read the assignment sheet for essay number 3. And if you read that assignment sheet and you think, oh yeah, I've got a lot I can say about democracy, I know I'm going to rock this essay. Great. Then maybe don't worry too much about the word count for essay 2. But if you read the assignment sheet for essay number 3 and you think, ooh, I do not know what I'm going to talk about, that is going to be a hard essay for me to write, then maybe spend some more time on essay number 2. You have the week to do that. So I would encourage you to kind of think ahead a little bit. Remember, essay 1 plus essay 2 plus essay 3 equals 5,000 words. You have to get there in order to meet that state requirement. Okay? All right. Essay number 3 is about democracy. And this essay is probably the most, or I should say the least structured in terms of how you can approach this essay. Students come out of this essay, because this will be the 3rd semester I've taught this particular unit, really kind of thinking about what it means to be part of a democratic society. And I'm not talking about Democrat versus Republicans. I'm talking about democracy and kind of what our responsibility is in living in a democracy. I quote heavily from John Lewis. He was a senator who passed away 2 years ago. And he says, democracy is not a state. It is an act, and each generation must do its part to help build what we call the beloved community, a nation and world society at peace with itself. So your task here is to write an essay in which you grapple with this idea of democracy, right? You know, last year was one of the most contentious elections that we've ever had as a country. Well, maybe not ever had. We had some pretty bad ones in the, as we were starting up. But nevertheless, it was a very, very hotly debated election. It was a campaign season that seemed to last for a long time. And and the divisions that came out of that election are still present today. Turn on any news outlet, any cable network, and you will see those divisions that have kind of come out of the election, come out of the last, 8 to 10 years of where we've been as a country. So this essay is not about seeking solutions. This essay is more about kind of this question, like, what does it mean to be part of a democracy if we're divided? How can we begin to think about bridging the gaps? How can we think about working towards a common goal or working towards a common end when we can't even sit next to each other at the dinner table? So this essay is really broadly asking you to kind of struggle and grapple with this idea of what it means to be part of a democratic society. It is a traditional essay in that it is thesis driven. It's not necessarily an argument like you're writing right now. But if you like the feel of writing a specific claim with a specific type and you want to use that for this essay, I would say go for it. That would be great. It's not required. If you would like to have a counter argument and you enjoy bringing in that opposing opinion, great. You can do that, but it's not a requirement. You need at least 3 sources. 2 of them need to be from class readings. Beyond that, for sure, you can add more. This essay should push you over the 5,000 word count. So you need to keep and be very mindful of where you were with essay 1 and essay 2 for word count. This essay cannot be revised. This essay cannot be submitted late. Can't be submitted past the grace period because it brings us up until the week before the last week of class. All the other information is here, and I don't want to spend too much time on it because it's early still. But the one thing I will say is that most students kind of jump in, and this is the feedback, right, that I hear from students is that, oh, this is going to be an easy paper to write. And maybe it is conceptually, but when students get down to writing it, they actually figure out it's kind of tricky to write about democracy and society. And so that's part of the reason why I just kind of flood you with readings. In later modules, I'll give you a sense of how other students have approached this topic. But again, just know that you have a lot of latitude, and we will be doing conferencing extensively over this last unit. The only time we won't have conferences is during Thanksgiving week. There aren't any conferences during that week. But the weeks before and the week after, yes, lots of conferences. So that's what this week looks like, right? You're turning in essay number 2, getting that done, pushing it aside, and then jumping into some of the readings for essay number 3. Again, keep in mind that that you have a grace period of Friday at 11:59 p.m. for essay number 2. And that's it. So if you have questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to ask. If you submitted your revision for essay number 1, that has been returned to you, so check your email. That's it. Have a great rest of your day, and enjoy the rain.